And a very pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk, where we talk all things Brevard College Tornado Athletics. I have a very special show on deck this evening as we celebrate Thanksgiving this week. Happy Thanksgiving to all of NATO Nation, and a lot of gratitude throughout this show, no doubt. And speaking of gratitude, do want to take a moment to thank our sponsors of Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Really appreciate their patronage. Arby's, BSN Sports, eGolf Ford of Brevard, Hampton Inn, Ingalls, Jets Pizza, Party Sports Medicine, Pepsi, Sully Steamers, Triangle Stop, and Young Transportation. A big thank you to all the sponsors of Brevard College Tornado Athletics. And, throughout this fall sports season, had the chance to start an outstanding new partnership with Party Sports Medicine and Southeastern Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the official healthcare provider for Brevard College Athletics. In addition to the outstanding quality of care provided by orthopedic doctors, Party also offers care in the areas of oncology, cardiovascular, primary care, and several subspecialties. Really appreciate Party Sports Medicine and Southeast Sports Medicine Orthopedics, proud partners with Brevard College Athletics. Well, a lot to catch you up on since we saw you last. Last week, we were having a special edition of the show as part of the Winter Sports Social for the Tornado Club, and we spoke to both basketball coaches. Well, a lot to catch up with you since we saw you last with this more traditional Tornado Talk. First, big congratulations to Brevard College men's soccer. They make a history-making trip for the Brevard College Tornadoes, a trip to the NCAA Division III National Championships, headed up to Lexington, Virginia to take on Washington and Lee, and the USA South Conference Championship for the Brevard College Tornadoes under head coach El Dana. Congratulations to them. Upon their return, 4 men's soccer student athletes were named Academic All-District. So congratulations to those student athletes. And then women's basketball has been on a roll as of late. 3 straight wins, a 93-59 win over Warren Wilson, a 77-73 win over NC Wesleyan, and a 56-43 win over Meredith. And USA South Women's Basketball Rookie of the Week for the second straight week goes to Olivia Miller, the Tornadoes freshman, off to a sensational start individually. Next women's basketball home game, 2 p.m. on Saturday, December the 3rd versus Salem at the Bosch. Men's basketball season underway as well, and they had a road trip at Montreat this past weekend. Tomorrow they take on Swanee at 7 p.m. at the Bosch. Hope to see you there, or tune into the YouTube channel to check that one live. Men's basketball team continuing their season on the non-conference side of things. Meanwhile, some coaching news. Abby Pardee named Brevard College head volleyball coach. She was the interim coach this past fall, was elevated to the head volleyball coach here at Brevard College. So congratulations to Coach Pardee. She'll be a guest next week on the show. So looking forward to that conversation. Cyclocross is coming off the UCI NC Grand Prix at Hendersonville this past weekend. Some great results there for the Tornadoes. And next up for cyclocross, the national championships, December 7th through 11th in Hartford, Connecticut. Cross country was at the NCAA Division III South Regional Championships up in Newport News, Virginia. Congratulations to that group of student athletes. Football, a 41-27 win over Southern Virginia in the season finale. We'll catch up later in the show with head coach Bill Kyatt, as well as a couple football student athletes. And that brings us to Brevard College women's soccer. Congratulations to them. Another big season for them as well. Another trip to the USA South Conference tournament, the 4th postseason trip in the last 5 seasons for the Tornadoes. And women's soccer headed up to a higher-seeded Southern Virginia squad that took Southern Virginia to double overtime, scoreless, 110 minutes. Southern Virginia then won in penalty kicks, but just an outstanding season for the Tornadoes. Upon their return, 6 women's soccer student athletes named Academic All-District. And with that, pleased to bring in our first guest of the evening, head women's soccer coach Juan Mascaro. Coach Mascaro, thanks for joining the show.
Hey, Phil, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, one of our themes of tonight's show is really kind of looking back at this sensational fall season across the sports here at Brevard College, and certainly women's soccer, a big part of that. Great season altogether, all sorts of highlights, and then this dramatic trip up to Southern Virginia in the USA South Conference tournament. As you reflect back a bit, Coach, can you catch up NATO Nation on just the meaning of this season?
Yes. Well, we're very blessed to have had a great season. College athletics nowadays, it's not easy to get wins, as we all know. There's teams out there that their seasons are done and they're still looking for the first win. So we're blessed to have a great season. We ended up 10-5-5. Very excited to be able to make it to the conference tournament. I think that we've done that in the last 4 or 5 years, so very excited about that. The game against Southern Virginia was a great game. It was a very exciting game to watch. I think they had their game plan, we had our game plan, and we just couldn't. They couldn't break us. We couldn't break them. So it ended up in a penalty shootout, and when that happens, it can be anybody's game. So overall, very pleased with the performance of the team. Very pleased with how things worked out through the season. So very excited and really looking forward for next year.
Coach, I can't help but just focus on the defense when I think about this team. 11 shutouts, a goals against average of 0.84, and then holding Southern Virginia scoreless through 110 minutes. I mean, just time and time again, defense and goalkeeping getting it done for the Tornadoes.
Yeah, and I think that that's been our recipe over the last few years. It is. If you think even when we had the COVID season 3 years ago, when we went 6-2-1, I think we only let in 4 goals in 9 games. So that's really our recipe, is understanding that defensively we're a hard team to break. And I think that's out there. Most teams understand that, and that's our style. And that is what we take care of first. So when we set up the game plan, is we're going to be a very hard team to break, and I think the kids do a great job at understanding that and implementing the plan, because it's not fun. I mean, defending is not fun. It's having the ball and doing that, but sometimes that is what you have to do to give yourself a chance, right? So I think that defensively we're a hard team to break, and the kids do a great job at implementing that. Yeah.
And Coach, you touched on the Southern Virginia game. I'd like to go back a couple games prior to that. 2 games left in the regular season, a trip at Pfeiffer, and then a home game against William Peace on Senior Day. Teams jockeying for position in those USA South Conference standings at that point. And the Tornadoes come up with a 2-0 win over Pfeiffer, 2-1 over William Peace.
Correct. And that made it for us. So we ended up tied in 5th place. It was a 3-way tie in 5th place, and then it goes to tiebreaker and who beat what and how many goals against how many, and that's how they did the seeding for the tournament. But I was very pleased with that finish of the regular season, having 2 wins at the end, having 2 conference wins. I think it was good for us and put us in a good situation at the table. So yeah.
And earlier in the season, sort of a bit of an anomaly, in terms of 4 consecutive draws. To Meredith, Greensboro, Southern Virginia, who you got to face again in the tournament, and Johnson and Wales. And then finally, that streak ended with a 1-0 win over Mississippi University for women. I remember talking to your student athletes coach, and they're like, "We are sick and tired of these tied scores." And part of it was the new rule change in NCAA.
Yes, part of it is the new rule change. So the NCAA changed the rule that normally before, if you tied, we went into overtime, golden goal, and I think that brought a little bit more of urgency to put the game away in overtime. I think now the new rule is the game ends in a draw. It is a draw. yeah, sometimes that is the game, but draws, soccer is one of those sports that draws are part of the game, and some draws feel like a loss, and some draws feel like a win, and I think we had both of those. We had some draws that we left points at the table, and there were some draws that we took points with us. So it's just part of the game. You know, we might not like it as much, but it is that it is what it is. It is part of the game.
Coach, earlier in the program when we opened the show, we spoke of academic all district. The college sports communicators, formerly known as COSIDE, have been putting together this program for years, and a program record 6 Tornadoes named to the women's soccer academic all district team. They'll be eligible now for the ballot for the academic all American team. Really prestigious stuff. Channing Barker, Grace Black, Maddie Edwards, Alyssa Hetherington, Abby Warzencroft, and Autumn Wright. That's got to make you proud, Coach, as far as that kind of performance in the classroom as well.
Yes, and that is. I mean, I'm very proud of those 6, obviously, for getting that award. But throughout our program, our kids understand that academics is the number one reason that they are here, and proof to that is, our team GPA last spring was 3.6, which we're very proud of. So I think they do the work in the classroom. They're very diligent about that. They're very dedicated to their schoolwork, and we just reinforce that a little bit, and they flourish. They run with it.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Just great work all the way around by the women's soccer program. Well, Coach, big picture, yeah, making it to the postseason yet again, really knocking on the door, obviously this time to advance even further. Can you kind of, long view, what can we expect moving forward? Maybe even beginning this spring as far as some of the priorities, and then, the potential of this Tornado women's soccer program.
Yeah, I think Phil, that the first priority is, which I think we're doing a phenomenal job at, is recruiting. Now you go into, you finish the season, you're recruiting 12 months out of the year, but during season, you have, it gets a little more busy. But finishing up recruiting, I think we're in a great spot. We are obviously way ahead of last year. I think we at this point we have the class that we need. So we're just being very selective on a few players to add, depending on what they bring to the table. So I think that the incoming class looks very good. I think that the returning class looks very good as well. So I think it's going to be very competitive inside the program, and I think that it's going to make us very competitive within the conference. So I'm looking forward to the spring, and like I told the kids, at our last team meeting, is right now we're looking forward towards September 2nd of 2023 at 2 o'clock against Barry. That's our season start of the season. So everything that we do, we look forward towards that.
Outstanding. Coach, last one before we bring in a couple of your student athletes. I usually reserve this for the student athletes, which is the opportunity to give thank yous and shout outs and that kind of thing. But since it's Thanksgiving week and, we're in the spirit of gratitude and really, being thankful, I'd love to give you an open forum here as far as anybody you'd like to thank, as far as contributing to this women's soccer program, either behind the scenes or, whatever comes to mind, Coach, let us know.
Wow, the list will be endless, Phil, because there is a lot that goes on in athletics and a lot that goes on to put a season together. But first, obviously, the players. I want to thank them for their hard work and dedication, because they do. They work extremely hard for it. Obviously, our assistant coaches. Junior, Sally and Rebecca, they do a great job, and they help me tremendously. We wouldn't do the things that we're able to do if it wasn't for them, and a lot of it is behind the scenes, things that most people wouldn't know. The athletic administration, sports information, game management. I mean, Miranda, I think would do a phenomenal job in the athletic department at promoting our student athletes, and our athletic department does a great job. And then obviously my wife for putting up with me. Yeah, for sure.
Very good. Well, Coach,
Yeah.
really appreciate all that, and thanks again for just a tremendous season. It was a lot of fun covering the women's soccer team this year, and can't wait for what's next as well. But stick with us just one more moment here. We're going
No
to bring in a
problem.
couple of your student athletes
Thank you.
as joining the program now. Emma Gooch and also Jessica Tenhai. Welcome aboard, Emma and Jessica. Coach, before we let you go, help us introduce these two to NATO Nation.
Absolutely. Two outstanding seniors, Jessica Tenhai and Emma Gooch, both North Carolinians. They have been with us for 4 years plus. I'm very proud of them. They have accomplished a lot and they've learned a lot. They've grown a lot. And, I remember 4 or 5 years ago when they came in, and now see them how they grow in every aspect. It's just amazing. And they're great kids. They're
Very
great
good.
women now. They're not kids anymore.
That's right. Well, we celebrated these two on Senior Day. We're going to
Yeah.
talk to them now as part of Tornado Talk. Thanks again, Coach, for making time for us. Congrats on another great women's soccer season.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it.
All right, there he goes, head coach Juan Mascaro, and joined now by Emma Gooch and Jessica Tenhai. Welcome aboard, Emma and Jessica. Emma, thanks for coming on the show this evening.
Hey, thanks, Phil. Thanks for having us.
And Jessica, welcome back to the program. Good to see you as well. Jessica, you might have to check your mic there.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. We're excited to have both of you. So let's first start with that Senior Day experience. If we can reflect back, the probably the best gift of all was a win by the Tornadoes that day to win over William Peace. But from your perspective, I'd love to hear from each of you as far as what that moment was like, as far as the whole day goes. Maybe there's some stuff your teammates did for you that we're not even aware of, and then on through the ceremony and then the game. When you think about Senior Day, Emma, can you reflect back and tell us about your memories?
Yeah, so really my favorite part of Senior Day was just being able to celebrate with the girls. They really did a great job of making that day special on and off the field, like with the win. So that was just a really fun day for all of us to celebrate, not only Jess and I's accomplishments throughout the years, but also as a team and just what we've done this season. So
outstanding. Jessica, same question for you. When you think back to that Senior Day, what comes to mind?
What comes to mind is bittersweet, and like what Emma Gooch just said, it was a lot of fun, and it felt nice to be celebrated on that day, but it was a little sad for me.
Yeah, understandable. There's a range of emotions that come out during those Senior Days, and you guys did a great job representing the Tornadoes throughout your career, and certainly this season as well. Emma Gooch, a senior midfielder from Charlotte, North Carolina. Emma, you're going to graduate with a bachelor's degree in health science, minor in business and organizational leadership. You plan to attend graduate school. Tell us a little more about your degree and your plans from here.
Yeah, so I wish I had a more interesting story to give you guys about what post-graduation looks like for me, but I really just I haven't really been led to a specific path yet. So I'm going to go home and work full time and really try and, do some self-exploration and figure that out, see what that looks like.
Of course. Yeah, totally understandable. That's a path for lots of us, no doubt about it. And you also have been very involved, Emma, on campus. BC Serves, which is just a tremendous opportunity for students here to get involved and give back to the community. You've been a work study for us in the athletic department. We get to see you all the time in the offices that you're tuning in from now. And you've been a peer leader your junior and senior years, a tremendous student athlete as well, in the classroom, academic all conference, Dean's Lifts performer, peer leader of the year back in 21-22, all that extracurricular activity. Can you kind of sum it up and, why that's important to the student athlete experience?
Yeah. So for me, it really helped to develop me as a person and as a leader. Just being able to be more well-rounded, it really helps me to to go off like into like after graduation and know that I can succeed or potentially succeed in like different areas with a different background that I've got here.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, Emma, and great example, and just great work all the way around. Jessica, I want to bring you into the conversation as well. As far as away from the soccer field, yourself graduating in the spring of 2023 with a bachelor's in psychology. I believe you're gearing up towards a master's degree yourself in either social work or counseling. Tell us about it, Jessica.
Okay, so my plan as of right now is to attend grad school, hopefully. I've been looking at App State and Western at their social work programs. So hopefully I can get into that. And right now I'm also interning with the Department of Social Services in Brevard. So I'm hoping to be able to find an opportunity there, and with that to set me up for my future plans.
Outstanding. And Jessica, when you think back to kind of the total Brevard College experience, NCAA Division III, going to school here at a small campus like Brevard College, being up here in these beautiful mountains, wherever it might take you, when you think back of, your years here and just what Brevard College has meant to you as a person, what comes to mind?
What comes to mind is family. This kind of community makes me feel very welcomed, and it has made me notice that everyone here is family oriented, and like the small community is nice, the small classes, that has helped me like learn a lot and experience a lot, and a lot of the hands-on learning as well.
Emma, anything to add to that as far as what Brevard College in specific brings to the table in terms of, the college experience here at Brevard compared to maybe some other places?
Yeah, so for me personally, what was really appealing was the small class size. So the interactive nature in the classroom and experiential learning really helped me, and I'm sure was really appealing to a lot of other people that go here. But that was really important to me, and I think that's something that you won't find at a big school where your general class sizes are like 500 students. So really that opportunity to engage with your professor and with your peers in the class is a big part of our learning here.
Jessica, we touched on it a little bit when we were talking about senior day and sort of, the emotional side, but I'd like to go even further as far as the women's soccer, family that you all have. You guys are a very close-knit group of student athletes. I see all over campus together. I can see it on the field when you're performing. Can you talk about that as far as just the unity of, you guys as the Tornadoes women's soccer program and what that means to be part of that group?
Yeah. So we, like you said, we're seeing a lot together out and about on campus. We like to go to all the athletic events together. We like to support all the athletic teams, and we like to do that as a group because it's very family oriented, and we enjoy being around each other and playing on the field with each other.
Anything to add to that, Emma, as far as the, women's soccer as a unit?
Yeah, so like some of my most of my best friends are on the team. We all, since COVID, a lot of us live together, so that's also been really fun as well. But yeah, I think we have a good time together.
Yeah, no doubt. Would be remiss not to ask you also about the outstanding coaching staff you get to work under. It's a unique group, with Coach Juan Mascaro Sr., who we had on the coach as the head coach and that you all played under. Juan Mascaro Jr. becoming an associate head coach this season and bringing his skills to the table. And then two recent alums, Rebecca Rojas and Sally Riggin, both of whom were teammates of each of you, who are now part of that coaching staff. Love to hear from each of you as far as, that dynamic and what it was like to play under these coaches. Jessica, can you kick us off?
Yeah, they were great role models for me. Sally helped me a lot on the field. She helped me keep me in check and like sane on the field. So I enjoyed playing under her, and I even enjoyed having her as a coach as well. She has a lot of insight to about soccer, and she gives a lot of support to us, as well as Rebecca. Rebecca typically works with the goalkeepers, so I can't really say much about her coaching.
Sure, understandable. As two midfielders here, don't expect you to spend too much time with the players who've got those gloves on every afternoon. Emma, same question for you. Tell us, what it's been like working under these coaches.
Yeah, so each coach kind of brings something different to the table. Senior brings a lot of wisdom and experience from his years of coaching. Junior, and he's only been our coach for this long now, so but he's brought a lot of youthful experience to the coaching staff. We've really enjoyed like interacting with him on and off the field, and then Rebecca and Sally they bring a lot of youthful energy as well. We kind of relate to them more because they were our teammates, but I think they all work together, and it's a fun group to be a part of.
All right, just a couple more before we let you all go. I know it's Thanksgiving week. People are starting to get into the holiday mode, but also wrapping up schoolwork and that kind of thing on a Monday evening. Emma and Jessica, I'd like to hear from each of you on the following. For these young tornadoes, the underclassmen, or perhaps new recruits coming here to Brevard College, I'd love to hear your advice for them. If there's a couple pointers you can maybe give them as far as whether it's women's soccer, whether it's being a student here at Brevard College, what do you tell the younger tornadoes as after you've got this experience now heading towards graduation? Jessica?
I would say just enjoy your time here. Have a lot of fun. Take the time to experience everything and join clubs, get involved on campus, and just really take it all in the 4 years you're here.
Outstanding. Emma?
Yeah, so kind of to piggyback off what Jess just said, really at Brevard, it's a small school, but it is what you make of it. So the people that you surround yourself with can really make or break your experience. And then also the people that you become friends with freshman year may or may not be with you, senior year. So there's just a lot, like you'll grow a lot as a person and just accept that as it comes.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense too. Some great counsel there for younger tornadoes. Before we move on to the infamous thank yous and shout out section, I just want to let each of you kind of reflect a little bit more. Emma, let's start with you. When you look back now on your years here at Brevard College, and as your women's soccer career was able to end, once again, it was a tough game up there at Southern Virginia, but nothing to hang your head about. You guys had a sensational season, brought us a ton of joy. And when you think back of it, Emma, like what comes to mind as far as, just, what this experience means? And can you sum it all up in some words?
Yeah. So I think the most impactful thing about being at Brevard it's been that it's taught me how to be a servant leader, on and off the field, really, but mostly off the field. And I'm confident that I'm walking away from Brevard a better person than when I came in.
So. Well said. Jessica?
Yeah, to go off of what Emma just said, I think of like growth, and I've realized I've grown a lot over the course of the 4 years, and I can agree with that. I walk away as a better person as well, and with a great education and a good experience from Brevard. Very
good. All right. Thank yous or shout outs. The floor is going to be each of yours. It's the week of Thanksgiving as well. So we're full of gratitude and, thinking of those less fortunate, but also, counting our blessings as well here at Brevard College. Emma, the floor is yours. Thank yous or shout outs.
Yeah, I'd like first, shout out my parents for their unconditional love and support throughout, as I grow into the person I am. Shout out Pod 230 and Katie LaCroix, my best friend and former roommate, for just the friendship and support that we've had over these years.
Jessica?
All right. I'd like to say shout out to the coaches and shout out to my family and Javi and Amy back home for being such a great support system to me. And yeah.
Very good. Emma Gooch and Jessica Tenhai, two members of the Brevard College women's soccer program. We celebrated them on Senior Day. Great to catch up with them this evening on Tornado Talk. Ladies, thanks for all the memories. Great stuff this season and in years prior. We really enjoyed covering the women's soccer program as you guys brought it at Eyes Lamel Family Field. And thanks for joining Tornado Talk this evening.
Thanks for having us, Phil.
All right. There they go. And we're going to switch gears quickly here and welcome in head football coach Bill Kyatt, as Coach Kyatt has entered the broadcast. Coach, how are you doing?
Excellent, Phil. How about yourself?
Outstanding. Outstanding. Well, do want to catch up with you a bit, Coach, as far as how this, season finished up, beginning with that trip up to Southern Virginia, 41-27, the final. Reflecting back now on that season finale up in Buena Vista, Virginia, and the Tornadoes able to get that win in that season finale. Coach, tell us about it.
Well, it was definitely an excellent way to finish the season. You always want to go out on a high note, which we did. It was quite a devastating loss the previous week. So to know the mindset of the players going into the final week of practice, to see them rally the way they did and really have an incredible performance on Saturday up in Virginia was really wonderful to watch, and I'm extremely grateful for that performance.
Yeah, no doubt. And, just seeing the point total, 41 points, the offense came alive, Coach. Can you tell us some of the specifics as far as how that manifested?
Well, during the week, there was a little shuffling of the staff. So Coach Groshek had taken some extra responsibilities, not only with his running backs, but then also handling some of the quarterbacks along with Coach Grant Holmstrom. So the two of them formulated a game plan that really catered to Miles Hayes' skills. And we did what he does best. And that was what really allowed the offense to accelerate and perform to the best it had all season, racking up those 41 points in that game.
And then looking at the season as a whole, reflect back on a Friday night, versus Greensboro, some interesting situations there due to, the incoming hurricane and so forth, where we moved the game to a Friday night, first time that's ever happened on campus in terms of a Friday night football game. And then, the following weekend, the big homecoming win over Methodist, wins over LaGrange at Maryville as well. And of course, that season finale win over Southern Virginia, a lot to feel good about as far as those W's, all kind of coming in their own fashion.
Well, certainly. I mean, if you really want to reflect on the season, you got to take it all the way back to the start of 2022 and look at Coach Josh Romero and Coach Jack Wellenhofer. Coach Romero is our recruiting coordinator, and Coach Wellenhofer is our director of high school relations. The two of those had our staff prepared and ready to go on the recruiting trail. And from the fruits of their labor, I sat in front of 171 people on the 10th of August to present the plan for the fall. So that was a record number for us as far as roster size. With that roster size led to Martin Bayless, a coach who wears many hats here for us, adding an additional one in the form of head JV football coach. So now we have a whole other aspect to our program. Then you also want to look at my time in the United States Football League, one that was quite profitable. We found 3 coaches who had never coached a down of football before in Coach Wiley, Coach Groshek, and Coach Rashad Nelson. 3 players that I found, professional football players, but I could see that one day when their careers are over, they'll be fantastic coaches. And sure enough, if you look at those 3 positions, wide receiver, running back, and defensive backs, the players in those positions really developed and excelled as the year went on. So very impressed by them. And then, of course, the big change at defensive coordinator, Shane Nelson, who was fantastic in last year's finale against Averett, holding that potent offense to 3 points. And then the remarkable job that he did this season really carried us to a lot of those wins that you just mentioned. So really proud of everything that the staff did to get these players in a position to do well once we got into conference play within the USA South.
The other common denominator in several of those wins is the home field advantage. And we've talked about this before, Coach, the idea of having football on campus here at Brevard College compared to, when you arrived here and, the games were played at the high school stadium, not to mention the other upgrades like the field house, the locker room, the new press box, and, luxury boxes and coaches coaching locations up there in terms of the press box. And not to mention, the tailgate lot and, just the overall vibe. Don't want to leave out the drum line and the cheerleaders and, even NATO, the mascot, making an appearance here and there. A great atmosphere continues to evolve and get better and better each year here, Coach.
And that's what's really helped us in our recruiting efforts. I don't know if anyone is really wise to the individuals that are standing on the sideline during the pregame, but those are all recruits that we bring to these ball games so they can actually experience that atmosphere. Because it's one thing to try to watch it on a telecast. It's one thing to try to explain how it is. But if you're not there in person to experience, you'll never get the full effect that it's presented when you're there. And the energy is like no other. And obviously we've now been to every team in the conference to their field outside of Belhaven. So I can't speak to that, but outside of that, I wouldn't want to play at any other place. I wouldn't want to be a part of anyone else's program. What we do here is unmatched in my opinion. And I just love everything about it. Everything that you just mentioned is exactly what makes Brevard College a wonderful place to play football.
And since we caught up with you last, Coach, we did celebrate Senior Day in that home finale versus Belhaven, a tremendous ceremony before the game where we really had the chance to recognize so many of these seniors. They were kind of in some different pods and so forth as far as, the layout of that ceremony. And some of them had participated in Senior Day ceremonies the season before and so forth. So many unique circumstances with the COVID years and super seniors and graduate students, you name it. But what a moment as far as that size and also, breadth of senior class. And Coach, I'd love your thoughts as far as that senior class, ranging from the 4-year seniors to the graduate students and just what they've meant to the program.
Well, I do remember my first Senior Day when all 4 of them walked out, and it was much simpler to set things up and have the ceremonies exactly the way you wanted them to. Now with 27 this year, and of course, all those different ranges that you mentioned, but boy, just to look at all of these groups and the things that they've experienced during their time here at Brevard. If your first year was 2019, which means you've been here for 4 football seasons and you're set to graduate, you've never had a losing season. You walked into an 8-2 season, a Scotty Whitelaw ECAC Bowl Championship, a co-championship of the Western Division during the COVID shortened spring, and a ridiculously strong conference record during the time you played here. So many incredible accomplishments were had by those seniors.
No doubt, Coach. And last one before we bring in a couple of student athletes from your squad. In terms of looking ahead, what's next for the Tornadoes, the potential of this program, and whether it's more the micro as far as what's next in terms of you all and the calendar goes, but also just philosophically in what Tornadoes fans and NATO Nation can expect moving forward.
Well, you have to look at the roster and its potential. And this year we had incredible potential. The unfortunate part is as your quarterback goes, so goes your team. And the starting quarterback we decided on got to play a half of football and then got hurt. So that really derailed some of our things, which led to our team's lack of confidence. And it took a while for our players to regain that confidence. And then, of course, we get rolling as the season goes on, but it was a little too late to do anything for the postseason. So now looking ahead, we have that same type of potential. Where is that potential? I don't know yet because of that COVID year. Now, of those 27, how many are coming back? And what about some of the younger guys and their decisions to continue to play football? So this roster will start to clear up probably a little bit more once we get into springtime and seeing who's participating in spring football and the efforts put forth by those that are out there, and then the things that take place on the recruiting trail. And while we have signed celebratory letters between now and next August, and then certainly by the second week of August in 2023, I can give you a far more clear and accurate answer, Phil.
No, makes a lot of sense, Coach, but a lot to look forward to as, this program continues to grow. And as we mentioned, just the memories being made and the atmosphere at Isla Mel Family Field like none other. Stick with us just a moment longer here, Coach. We're going to bring in a couple of those seniors who were part of that big group of 27 on senior day not too long ago. Joining the program now, Jaden O'Leary and also Stamati Damalos. Coach, help us introduce these two one more time to NATO Nation.
Well, when you talk about coaching, as coaches, we are here to win championships, but more important, we want to develop young men. And these two certainly fall under the category of development. If you see where the two of them started and how they finished their career, what a change. And but they truly are the textbook. If you were going to clinic how to develop a player from the start of their career to their finish, boy, these two would be in your web series for sure. So I'll start with Stamati. So Stamati came in, and at the time we had lost our kicker from the previous year. He decided to move on to another school and stop playing football, and he was fantastic for us. So we had been used to relying on our kicker. And that very first year, he struggled to find his way. And he was always in competition trying to get onto the field. But because of his heart and his effort, and he is a workhorse like a champion, he put in every ounce of heart and effort that he needed to develop into what he became, which is a man that you could trust implicitly at all times. I never, ever hesitated to put him in to kick a field goal inside 50 yards. Wind, not a factor. Turf, not a factor. So that's a far cry from having to go for it on every fourth down in the red zone 5 years previous. So just really a testament to his work ethic and his drive for greatness. And I couldn't be more proud of all of his accomplishments. I'm sure when you interview him, you're going to list these accolades and all of the things that came with his career, which are just remarkable. So extremely proud of him. Has a wonderful family support system, and they've done everything they can to help him succeed. And I'm just appreciative of his decision to come to Brevard College to play football. Now, the other one there, Jaden O'Leary. That's a struggle for me to say his name that way. Of course, in our gentleman's club, we have all nicknames. So that might be the first time I called him Jaden O'Leary in 5 years. So it began with a gentleman who struggled to make it to an early morning meeting. Somehow, some way, the alarm just wouldn't go off. Was more interested in torchlight picnics than preparing for a game. But as time went on, understood what his role was and his goals. And sure enough, you talk about a workhorse. Look at his development over the years. I mean, really, truly a coach's dream in what he became this year when, everyone knows that the strength of Brevard College football is its defense. And when you're struggling trying to generate points and you're figuring out how can we move the ball down the field and you want to get creative, it's simple to get creative when you know you have a player like Jaden O'Leary there that you can do anything really that you so choose because you have complete faith that he'll get the job done for you. So you'll have an enjoyable time speaking with these two, Phil.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And thank you, Coach, for your leadership and, joining us throughout the season as well. Can't wait to see what's next for the Tornadoes. Really enjoyed covering you guys this year.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks so much, Phil. Have a good one.
All right, there he goes, head football coach Bill Kyatt. And as Coach Kyatt helped us introduce these two senior student athletes in that upper right corner, senior tight end from Fayetteville, North Carolina, Jaden O'Leary. Jaden, thanks for joining the program.
Thank you for having me.
Also, Stamati Damalos here as well, the senior kicker from Tarpon Springs, Florida. Stamati, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Phil.
Yeah, great to have you guys with us, and want to talk some football. Also, want to talk some life and Brevard College and all these things. But Stamati, let's start with you. Another great season for you. First team All Conference, 4-time USA South Conference Player of the Week. I mean, we were racking these things up. It seemed like every week, just about. When you reflect back on this year, Stamati, can you tell us about the success that you felt and how you developed, kind of like what Coach was saying as a kicker, this senior year?
Yeah, coming into it, I talked with Stephen Ed, my kicking coach at home. Just mature. I mean, it's been 5 years I've been kicking the ball through the uprights, and guys like Jaden O'Leary, they give me the 10-minute protection, to put the ball through the uprights. So definitely without those guys, they make my job a lot easier.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's more of a team effort than people realize, correct, Stamati, as far as, field goals, extra points?
Oh yeah. The faith I have, us being the best field goal unit in the country, it's great.
Yeah. And Jaden, a bust out year for yourself. 52 receptions, 638 yards, 4 touchdowns this season. I mean, it's just kind of lights out, as far as, the numbers you put out. Can you talk about this year and how it might have been different than years in the past as far as you personally, and then also just clicking as far as, becoming this kind of pass receiving threat that you did?
Yeah, so it was definitely a very developed career for me. It started with blocking off rip. Kai made sure our techniques and blocking was for sure that is what we needed to do. Like blocking is first, then the ball's next. So I mean, to start off blocking and then slowly getting into catching the ball and working. I mean, every other play that went from just learning which block I have to do, then learning which route I have to run, and then from there, just catch and run the ball and doing what I can.
Yeah. And Jaden, you had 2 long ones, 43-yard touchdown versus LaGrange, and then a 47-yarder at Maryville. And, both those, quick strike, those long, strikes, explosive plays, whatever you want to call them, ultimately resulted in wins in both those games for the Tornadoes. Can you take us through those 2 touchdowns and, maybe reflect back, break it down a little bit, the 43-yarder versus LaGrange, then the 47-yarder versus Maryville?
The Maryville one was actually sort of not like a trick play, but it was where we had Dalton, roll out and act like if he was about to run, and then he launches it down the field. And that one was crazy, especially with the game that we were having. It was definitely something that we needed to get the momentum going and to finish the game off. And so, I mean, it was crazy with that. With the team we were playing, Maryville was a very physical and mean team. We could say that. Yeah, a mean team. And so it was definitely something different. The LaGrange one, it was definitely almost the same way, but it was just a play that kind of like broke out and wasn't supposed to necessarily go the way it did, but it just happened to be so. So I mean, the ball went up in the air, and it was up there, so I had to go get it, make the play.
Outstanding. And Stamati, want to reflect back a little bit on a couple moments for yourself also. You're the career leader now in field goals made, total points here at Brevard College. Pretty much any stat that has to do with place kicking, you own the record now. When you think of that, first of all, as far as being in those record books and maybe even establishing now a legacy, to moving forward as far as this position at Brevard College, what comes to mind?
Jeez. I mean, if you told my 7-year-old self that, I'd say you're lying. I mean, I didn't even think I was coming to college to play football. I thought I was going to UF just to be a normal student. But, started getting calls, came up here for a visit. And I fell in love with the place. I wouldn't change these past 5 years for anything. And
you also set a school record, Stamati, with a 48-yarder, but in the season opener versus shorter. Can you don't be afraid to get kind of on the micro here for us, Stamati. I want to hear the specifics of that, circumstance, and then you splitting the uprights for that career long.
Well, it's kind of funny. Like I come to the sideline. I was like, "Yeah, how'd you feel?" I'm out there. And I'm completely like thoughtless. That's kind of the best way to be when, like I tell the younger guys, for the specialists, like when you're thoughtless, you're in the tunnel vision. You can't really think of nothing. Nick, my placeholder, is like, "Yeah, man, how'd you hit the ball on your foot? This is that." I'm like, I didn't know. I was thoughtless. The ball went through the uprights, but it was funny. I think it was supposed to be a 43-yarder, and it was a false start, or I didn't, ran out of the play clock, and we backed it up, and I didn't really know the distance until like I walked off the field, and I was like, I think I just broke the record again. But yeah, it was a pretty fun experience, especially with guys like Jane O'Leary. I mean, they make it so much easier with the faith that I have to just do my job, make it easier.
Yeah, no doubt. And Jaden, tell us a little bit about special teams and how that's a priority for, so many of you guys. We see the stats, we see the touchdown connections and that kind of thing, but special teams, sort of the unsung heroes of the group. And, tell us about your experience with special teams, but also just how that's a priority for the Tornadoes.
Our coaches say it all the time. If we have a terrible special teams type of day, then it's not going to be a good game for us. But from this year, playing field goal is my main special teams, and honestly, the best thing is we want to protect that. We want to protect Smarty. Smarty is our goal to protect. We want him to make sure he gets that ball up in the air and we can hold it down. So biggest thing is stop the guy in front of us.
Yeah, no, makes a lot of sense. Now, Jaden, let's head off the football field into the classroom a bit. Tell us a little bit about what you've been working on academically, what your degree will be in, and have you looked beyond that as well?
So I study in criminal justice. That's my major. As further as post-graduation, after we're finished with this, as of right now, my plan is to continue playing football, go to a bowl game, see how it goes, see where it's at. But I mean, there's options for me with my career that I've chosen, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, wait, Stamati, are we breaking some news here on the Tornado Talk? O'Leary coming back, perhaps? This is pretty cool. In all seriousness, Stamati, as far as yourself goes, I know you've been working hard in the classroom as well. Tell us, what's next, what the degree will be in, and so forth.
Well, yeah, we're student athletes, so the classroom was definitely, I hit it hard. I guess you could say I didn't have the greatest first semester, so I definitely had to bounce back from that. But exercise science major, graduating with that with a BA. I plan on going home and, like O'Leary said, pushing to, play football and continue playing that. So definitely a bunch of things lined up. I ran out of eligibility, so you guys won't see me on the field next year in a BC uniform. But, God willing, I'll continue to play football professionally.
Well, we're grateful we got this season in as well. No doubt, Stamati, you brought us a lot of joy, watching the Tornadoes in action. And, you mentioned going home. You're from Tarpon Springs, Florida, over on the west coast of the Sunshine State. Tell us a little bit about what that's been like as far as being someone from Florida. Tarpon Springs is very different from the mountains of North Carolina here at Brevard, North Carolina. But what's that experience been like as far as being from Florida, coming up here to the mountains to go to school?
The weather. I could definitely say that, having 4 seasons up here, not being used to wearing sweaters like 7 months of the year. So definitely playing in the colder temperatures. I kind of got used to that, but definitely the weather. But, you have the Florida humidity and the Florida heat that I dearly love. I love going home and, just being in that Florida heat. And it's fun because I get to go home now, and guys like O'Leary, he's moving 30 minutes away from me. So, I mean, we're just going to continue to grow closer and closer, and it's going to be great.
And Jaden O'Leary from Fayetteville, North Carolina, over on the east side of the state. Tell us a little bit about you as far as location goes and geography, what it's been like coming over here to the west side of the state and the mountains and going to school.
It's definitely colder. It's definitely way colder. I mean, the weather isn't too bad and different from Fayetteville. I mean, the humidity is kind of the same we're in a rainforest. So, but now that I've moved to Wesley Chapel in Florida, it's definitely gonna be way better and way warmer. So I think that's going to be something fun to experience.
Yeah, very cool. Good stuff. Well, really looking forward to what's next. We love following the alums of Brevard College as well. And Jane O'Leary, Stamati Damalis here with us from the Brevard College football program. Last one before we get out of here with some thank yous and shout outs. When you think of your younger teammates, the underclassmen, maybe the guys just getting started at your position, maybe a recruit coming in, a high school senior who's soon to be a Brevard College freshman. What's the words of advice and words of wisdom that you would pass forward? Stamati?
I'd never say, the younger guys that didn't get to see the field, I'd take that to heart, really push this offseason. Like the offseason is where the games are won and where your stats come out to play when you strap the uniform up on Saturdays. So definitely weight room is your best friend. All the specialists too, like don't just train like a kicker, train like an athlete. That'll help you, so much on the field. And then you also got to hit the classroom. Like I said earlier, you're a student athlete. So student comes first. And, being strong in the classroom will help you on the field without a doubt.
Jaden?
Piggybacking off of Stamati, being strong in classroom is very important. I mean, if you want to play on the field, you have to be good in the classroom. You have to have good grades. Definitely the off season's everything. The weight room. Definitely getting in the playbook, especially an offensive player coming into this program, especially this football team. Our playbook is nothing to play with. You definitely have to know what you're doing. If you don't, then you're not going to play. So.
Yeah, some great counsel and advice there from a couple guys who certainly got it done this past season and throughout their career for Brevard College football. Well, before we let you guys out of here, want to give you each the floor and the opportunity for shout outs. Thank you. It's the week of Thanksgiving, so feel free to go any direction you like. Stamati?
First off, I want to thank my Lord and Savior for everything he's done for me and will continue to do for me. There's going to be a long list. So my parents, my brother always supporting me and pushing me to be better. You got Coach Kayak, Coach Bayless, and the rest of the coaching staff that pushed me to go home, become better, and become a better person, the next season. You got everyone back at home, my friends and family here, my teammates. I consider my big brother, Stephen Yahi, my kicking coach. Everything he's done with me, helped me grow on the field and as a person off the field. And then, guys like in my gym dad, I call him Murphy, everyone else back at the gym that helps me grow, and they're going to help me grow this offseason, to become pro. And then obviously guys like you, Phil, and Joe for everything you guys do with the program.
Appreciate that, Stamati. Jaden, shout outs or thank yous?
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep this not too long, but I'd like to say thank God, family, friends, especially this coaching staff. They've definitely helped me progress a lot. I've definitely had a great season because of them, especially my teammates. Shout out to my teammates, my blockers, QBs, all them. Other than that, I think Jerome Cherry, my coach G from back home, he definitely helped me train for the off season. Jordy as well. He gave me a weight room to actually get strong in. So that's it.
Very good. Jaden O'Leary, Stamati Damalis. Hey, guys, great job this season. You brought us a lot of cool memories, some great stuff there at Isla Family Field and beyond. And, just great work here as Brevard College student athletes. Really appreciate your contributions to the Tornadoes. And thanks for joining us this evening on Tornado Talk.
Thanks for having us, Phil.
Thanks for
Happy
having me.
holidays and God bless.
All right, there they go. And that just about wraps up another edition of Tornado Talk. Really appreciate our guests this evening from both women's soccer and football. And want to thank all of our sponsors as well of Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Well, it's Thanksgiving week. Classes are out of session Wednesday through Friday. There's a men's basketball game tomorrow if you want to check that out. And then, folks get the chance to, either head home or gather here in Brevard, North Carolina, and get to experience the, idea of Thanksgiving and the idea of gratitude and being able to reflect a little bit on what you're thankful for. And I just want to run through a bunch of folks who, as we mentioned a little bit with Coach Kayed and Coach Mascaro, and ongoing theme as far as the things that happen behind the scenes, and the administration here at Brevard College Tornado Athletics. We're thankful for our leader, director of athletics, Miranda Nash, Kristen Rosado, assistant AD and SWA, also women's lacrosse coach, Lee Burgess, the assistant AD, who's also the head men's basketball coach, Bree Clark, a new member of our team here, Director of Compliance. She's a Brevard College alum, also handles academic services. And Joseph Marvin, behind the scenes, Digital Media Director and Assistant SID. Also, Roya Tomasabi helps out a bunch on the SID side. She's part of that women's lacrosse coaching staff. Thankful for their contributions. The athletic training staff, Noah Reisig, Nicole Harshbarger, Andrew Westrick, outstanding work there, keeping our student athletes healthy. Talking about unsung heroes, I mean, we could not perform the way the Tornadoes do without their work in the athletic training room. Dr. Joshua Wilkie, faculty athletics representatives, that liaison between the Tornadoes student athletes and the faculty here, a very valuable role there, and would be remiss without mentioning Dr. Stephen Knott, who passed away tragically just before the start of this year. We had a great remembrance of Dr. Knott recently at a football game, the Bellhaven game, in fact, and just we miss him dearly, and thankful for he and his family. And, we continue to have him in our thoughts. I do want to also mention some of our other sports and coaches. So we're thankful for all of them. Mike Victory, Rob Julian, Steve Huckey, Jack Atkinson, and Ben Melton from baseball. We mentioned Coach Burgess, also Miles Leathers, and Tamia McGee, the student manager of men's basketball. Women's basketball, Donald Hudson and Annalie Bollinger. Cheerleading, head coach Chandler Ryan. Cross country, head coach, also coach of track and field, Daryl Patrick. Brad Purley, the head coach of the cycling team. The football coaching staff, Coach Kyatt, Martin Bayless, Everett Lindsay, Shane Nelson, Jake Wellenhofer, Josh Romero, Nick Eubanks, Rashad Nelson, Ladarius Wiley, Garrett Groshek, Brandon Crawford, Grant Holmstrom, and John Burton III. Thankful for that outstanding staff. Men's lacrosse coaching staff, J.D. LeMay and Brenner Woodcock. Great work from them as well. Thankful for them. Christian Rosado and Roya Tomasabi, both part of that admin team, but they head up the women's lacrosse program. A big thanks to them. Men's soccer, what a year they've had as far as going to the NCAA Division III national championships. Very thankful for what they did on the field this year, but thankful for their coaching staff as well, Coach Eldana and Coach Mario Pinto. Women's soccer, we had Coach Mascaro on the show, his staff of Juan Mascaro Jr., Rebecca Rojas, and Sally Riggin. Softball's coaching staff, head coach Bree Sharon, Taylor Hanna, Christy Cauble, and Emily White. It's thankful for them. Men's tennis and women's tennis, Brad Jones and Jimmy Wynn, the coaching staff there. And we mentioned the new head coach of the Brevard College volleyball program, Abby Pardee. She'll be on the show next week, and assistant coach Brittany Frank. So want to thank all those members of the Brevard College Athletic Department for what they do behind the scenes. Want to thank the faculty here at Brevard College, thank the administration and staff as well. And as much as anything, want to thank you, NATO Nation, for continuing to support the Tornadoes. We notice it when you're giving those likes on Facebook, when you're, adding a comment here and there, when you're retweeting a tweet, when you're, liking an Instagram post. And we love hearing from you, and we love your continued support, whether you're able to make the games here in person or watch them on the YouTube channel. Really appreciate you continuing to support the Brevard College Tornado athletics and the Brevard College Tornado student athletes, who really we're tremendously thankful for them, of course, and all that they do representing Brevard College, but also, giving us a lot of moments that we've been discussing throughout the show that, we've seen throughout this fall, and hopefully, and I'm sure of it, plenty more, come this basketball season, and then we'll be in the spring season before we know it. But just wanted to give a full, well-rounded Thanksgiving list of gratitude for all these people who make Brevard College Tornado athletics a reality. So for all of us at Brevard College Athletics, a very happy Thanksgiving to you, NATO Nation. Go Tornadoes.